Hey guys, it is Alexander Williamson here, and I have a bit of a surprise announcement, which is that I've been working for 13 generations on this fish. And here you can see another one of the fish that Lucas Bretz originally hooked me up with, the rainbow tiger Endler. And I came up with both a leopard and tiger version, or snakeskin and tiger version of that first, with this weird thread tail where it has two threads that actually meet in its spade tail. Now this is a cull of that, but these genetics are in these Endlers. I tried to use only Endler genetics from what I've been told from what I've bought. So originally we took a Japanese blue Endler, which have a double sword tail that's yellow and blue on it. And that's where we're kind of getting those light blue colors from. Then we took a blue panda Endler, and we crossed that in, as well as a Moscow Endler, which you may not have heard of. They're not actually from Moscow. They're just called that because they have solid coloration and iridophores that are pretty strong, which is the cell that causes shimmer on a fish. It causes the pigmentation to shimmer in the light rather than to be a solid color. So these guys are nothing near what you see when you see them in person because of that iridescence. So these just glow, and I worked a long time to get that glow of the blue body. And if we could get it a little bit bigger, that'd be fine. But I kind of like the silver just because they sparkle on the main body. But some of them are from 2 generations before the last 3. So this is the oldest one that doesn't have the bell bottoms. But now we're getting that split lyre or leer tail consistently. Everybody being born now has it. Whereas some 4 generations ago, 3 generations ago, about 10 or 20% were not being born with it. These also have black bar Endlers in them too. So they have wild strains and domestic strains. There are about 4 or 5 strains all tied into this fish. And to stabilize it, I crossed back surprisingly maybe to some people, but I crossed back this base yellow over and over. And it was the tiger stripe ones that ended up giving me the checkerboard on the end of the tail. And my other line, which we'll look at in a moment, that has both paddle tail with the needle on it, and there's another one that has a split lyre tail with double swords. So I had both genetics to play with and used both to see what would be better looking. And definitely this crazy bell bottom thing with checkerboard actually at the split too. It's hard to see. And now finally the reason I'm ready to show them is that we actually have checkerboarding for the top stripe of fins on some of the males here. This one doesn't have it real strong, but you can actually kind of see it. And if it's not checkerboarded, then what we get is the blue Endler, Japanese Endler genetic showing up with that really soft blue and yellow. But like I said, some now are getting the checkerboarding in the top, and that's really the final step with these for what I want to get out of them. But they're just a little bit different than most of the stuff you'll see out there. And I guess I'll show you some more of their ancestry in the other room in just a moment. But I hope you guys dig them. Let me know what you think. Have you seen anything like these? It was the black Moscow Guppy crossed with the Bentley's Hawaiian. Well, originally they were Luke Roebuck's line, but Bentley Pasco has had them for quite some time now, a number of years. And I crossed, basically as soon as I got the first batch of them, I crossed a black Russian Guppy with his and got this beautiful metallic shimmering black and dark blue Guppy with some of the light turquoise and blue in the face. So I saved that line, about 4 or 5 of them, for a while. You'll see that some of them in my old videos, and then mix them with the pandas. So those are that's the only Guppy part of the line. The rest is, so 90% Guppy according to what I could trace anyways. So, or 90% Endler, rather. Sorry if I said Guppy there. But the checkerboard pattern's getting really strong now, finally, or kind of stripe pattern. It just kind of depends on how old they are. As they get older, you can see it grows out, and it looks really nice. This is F13, I believe. So this is the most recent and best represented ones. So he will be the sire. There's already some sires in the other room, or kings in the line that are lending their genetics, but I also kept the other males because we're doing several generations a year here and kind of playing musical fish in order to get this done in 4 years rather than in, well, 4.5 years rather than 10. So let's have a look at some of the other traits that went into this. All right, so right off the bat, you can see up here we've got a tiger Endler. This one doesn't have the best stripes ever, hence why he's in this tank, but a few generations ago, this is what I was obsessed with doing, was basically a fire and ice tail out of the rainbow Endlers. So instead of Lucas's, which would come out all sorts of colors and have this cool iridophore thing going on, I brought them to a spade tail that was all yellow inside, and then on the outside what you get coming on it is orange or red on the lower part and yellow with a little bit of pastel blue iridescence on the top part. So kind of blue and orange or blue and red in the tail, as well as in that top dorsal fin on some of them. And then more solid yellow in the body with the black stripe right behind the gills. So that's probably half of F10, about F10. So let's look at some of the other ones. Alright, so here is another cross that we did, which was an orange tuxedo and also a wild type that's in here. We crossed them together and ended up with these guys, which are the lyre tails. Too much black in the body, so then we crossed them back with Lucas's, but here's those wild ones. They recently still had a line going thanks to Jackson Tax, who brought those back to me, and about 9 months ago. But here you can see where the orange is going to come from, and also how that pigment moved to the body back to a splotchy thing. And it kind of was like not coming together, and then out of nowhere we went from these guys here with the really prominent, well, hold on, let's get him in shot again, with the really prominent black tail, kind of like a veil tail with a notch in it, and I started to see that V shape, and so I took it and I crossed it again with the Lucas line of those tiger Endlers after we had the orange, and we started to get this blue up here, and we were getting the dark blacks on the outside, the orange on the belly, the black dot in the front. And these ones are probably F8, 9, and part of 10 that was mixed with the ones that I showed you. And so that's basically what got us to where we're at, and then it was a matter of selection from them. Now, let's see if they'll come, because they're a little shy. But here are the true line of the lyre tail males that I have from Lucas, that I've had for since he started YouTube, since a little before that probably, or right around that time when he started his own channel. And I've let this tank kind of go wild because I haven't been focusing on it. So we started to get some of the spade tails and the metallic blues and greens back in again. And so we kind of had to bring back those traits of the split tail males, the lyre tail males. And these were the females that were kept, and their babies. And then there's some being kept with a friend right now, so that there are several steps, obviously, in this whole process. And so we've got these guys with the split tail living at a friend's house. And we crossed those back in that last step. And it just kind of all came together in that last step. And so that is what gave us those beautiful, to me they're really beautiful. I know black is a weird color to mix with yellow, but the margins are getting even cleaner on all that. Now there may still be some strays down in here that were, stop zooming in so tight, but there may be some strays down in here that are still, yeah, here we go, that are still from F10 or so, F9 and 10. These were the result of crossing those black-tailed ones, which were the blue panda and the Japanese blue Endler and the black Moscow and Bentley Pasco / Luke Roebuck's line of the blue Hawaiians. Now those traits hid because those the luminescence of the of those traits I read online are actually recessive compared to the orange colorations and the black. And so we had to kind of wait and skip a generation and then breed the best of the generations back over and over for the last chunk of it. But there's still a few in here that are from that in-between stage. And at this point, I almost looked at them about a year and a half ago, and I thought, I don't know where I'm going with this. And luckily, Jackson Tax on here, a friend of mine that lives locally, came and brought me some of the genetics and of the Guppy's Endlers mix that I'd given her maybe 2 years prior for her pawns, and they had done their own thing and changed a little bit, but they still had, I still knew all their background, so I was able to use those again, knowing that they would keep holding the traits. These ones here, the black in there and that tail that's almost that bell-bottom tail, and now that bell-bottom tail is really prolific. All these are gonna have it, but I've got them in a number of other tanks too that I don't always show. So I am still working on 2 different lines of Endlers / they are part Guppy in there, but I wanted to show you guys those. So I'll show you one last time, and then please comment, let me know what you think. If you think it's a mistake that I'm sharing my genetic lines with everybody, but I think that the proprietary thing, I get it for making a bunch of money if you think you can pump out tons and tons of something or whatnot, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather have people enjoy knowing what went into the fish and then being able to use it however they would like, and knowing that that tail is recessive, that the checkerboarding is recessive, that the iridophores or that iridescent color, recessive, and that it doesn't come together until the final cross back, and then after that it's selecting from a group. Now I'll give you a peek, but this is part of another project too, and I know some people saw it during the live stream the other night, so that's why I'll include it. But I took the line in another direction with some of the same genetics up here, and you can see how fiery they'll get a few steps back if you don't really watch the line and make sure that it's dominant traits, the orange and stuff, don't get carried away. And even the females of these ones have the black tail, even though the males are orange. So interesting, and hopefully in another year you'll get an update on these and where they're headed in their genealogy and what I'm working on, because there's 2 or 3 other parts to them, and we're still probably a year to year and a half out from that final phase. Alright guys, so we've got the F11s 12s and 13s have the darker tail with the stronger yellow, and it kind of looks muddled in this light, but when they hit either natural sunlight or they're under the light directly, they just glow with this metallic blue in there. Let's see if he'll go out there into there if we follow him. You can see it there a bit. Plus the checkerboard, plus the orange and the black spot to kind of give the homage to the wild. But I'm thinking of naming them, like I said, patchwork bell-bottom Endlers, because it looks like they're wearing the big 70s bell-bottoms. And these two are the newest generation. Or not that one. This one and that one. The ones that have the clearest bell-bottoms with 3 parts checkerboard and also the blue and the yellow in the top, they'll be selected. The very last trait is going to be this part here, trying to get the checkerboard in the top fin better. This guy's got so much dark though that getting that checkerboarding turns into kind of striping almost, and also messes up the leer tail. Doesn't give it the look I want, which is kind of like a teepee or an A-frame or something like that. But they are all kind of cool in my mind to put them in here. I put them in here together tonight finally. All the generations that still had males alive that I'd been keeping track of. So I figured it's time to document it, have the surgery coming up on Friday, and I didn't know if I'd be able to talk too much or how it would go or anything, all the dental stuff and jaw stuff. So I just wanted to share these with you guys because I haven't been able to show anybody other than a few friends that have come over and inquired while looking, like, what's up with those? They're really weird looking. And we'll get some pictures of them too. Even this one that looks stark black on this picture, he is covered in blue iridophores, like a Hawaiian blue Moscow when you catch him in the right light. So you can kind of see it on the caudal peduncle there. But let me know, what would you guys name these? And I'll post some pictures in the community tab, kind of privately or maybe on Instagram as well, of these standing still and under either natural light or even just when they're under the middle of the light. Video, even HD video, tends to distort the color a bit. All right, guys, thanks so much. Stay tuned. If you want to see where this line's going, you can click the little bell. A lot of people forget to do that, and then they say, oh man, I saw your channel and then I never saw it again. Says 60% of those watching who return and watch are not subscribed. So if you do want an update, I'd appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing and turning on alerts, and that'll keep you in the loop, and you won't have to forget about me for a year and then think, oh yeah, what happened to that? You'll have your answer 2 to 3 times a week if you care to get it. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you on the other side.